and welcome to the Mr. C Dives In YouTube channel. Tonight, our guest of honor in the theme of the Sven-ology, Sarah Rhodes, Sarah Goolie. Sarah, thanks so much for coming on the channel. Thanks for coming to the show. Welcome aboard.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a true honor.
Well, maybe it's a mutual kind of an honor, or it's a two-way street as far as that goes. But as we continue to have Svengoolie content, and as previously around Svengoolie's birthday, around the Rich Koza's birthday, we had a four-part series with Dave, Terror Dave of Dave's blog, and you and Dave have some Sven commonalities, some Sven history together, and so then Dave was kind enough and magnanimous enough, if you will, to connect us. So here we are. So I wanted to get started with let's give recognition right there, terrordaves.com. So
love Dave. Thank you, buddy.
So and Dave is clearly a Svenologist extraordinaire.
Oh, definitely. He holds the crown there. You can't beat Dave Fuentes when it comes to Sven-ology.
I'm glad you're saying that. I would agree. You know, Dave was clear. He wanted to be known as a fan and not as an expert. And of course, as Dave was my guest, I'm going to respect it. And so right now here, you're the guest. So I'm going to respect your description of Dave's knowledge base and Dave's prowess. Okay, so there's so much to get into and so much to speak on. Let's start with, again, there's Dave. So at C2E2, this past C2E2 from a few months ago, there's you, and right just off the shoulder there is the Sven-ology character, which is a very deep cuts reference to
yes.
older Sven material for commercial bit parodies. And usually I like to trim down the pictures, but I wanted the timestamp. So right there on March 31st at 11:29 a.m., I was taking your picture without knowing that it was you exactly, which to me is similar to, let me pull that back out of the way now, similar to at the Volo appearance for Sven, there was Dave taking the picture of J-Spy and me with J-Spy's stuff, which is just over my shoulder.
Yes.
Frankenstein lamp. So it was like history repeating itself. But let's get, as I'm giving a Gilbert Gottfried-like almost lengthy introduction here, let's get into, you designed a Sven skateboard, which has appeared on the show. How did you come up with the skateboard as a way to express Sven appreciation and Sven art?
Well, there's a little bit of a story involved. I think of myself as somewhat of an artist. And I was speaking with one of my friends back home in Oklahoma. You know, I grew up there. Don't hold it against me. And her name's Tina. She's actually the one that got me into broadcasting. And we've kept in touch for 20 plus years, probably closer to 30. And I said, I need to do a Svengoolie skateboard. I just want to do it. You know, I just have this urge. And she said, okay, since I can't see it every day because of the distance issue, I want you to post your progress on social media. Fine, whatever, who cares? Everybody shows out on social media. So I start on this thing and I start drawing it, and I do the step by step. I do the drawing, I start painting on it, and ever so often I'll do a progress picture. I would work on this thing late at night after work. Oh my gosh, for hours and hours and hours. And a certain Rich Koz started following along the progress.
Wow.
And I didn't tag him or anything. I was just doing this for my friends who follow my artwork. And when I finally finished the first one, which is mine, right here behind me, he said, that's amazing. I don't remember verbatim what he said. This was all on Facebook. And I thought, you know, his 40th anniversary is coming up. He's too kind of a guy. He probably wants one, but he won't ask for one because of the time, effort, expense, shipping, this, that, and whatever. So on the second deck, which is the one in the studio that you see at the hand at the door segment on most every program, that's the second one. And I started painting on that, and I didn't do progress or anything because this was to be a surprise. And I didn't tell Rich he was getting one until I emailed him and said, oh, by the way, you're getting a skate deck. Here's the tracking number. Happy 40th.
Wow.
So that was the story on the second one.
So a passion project, a labor of love, a chosen way to spend your recreation time.
Yes, I would paint on that thing until I just couldn't take it anymore. And it was in the wee hours of the night, early in the morning. So looking back, I don't know how I did it, but well, there it is.
So clearly you're working on a skateboard as your medium.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so did you do pencil work first to get the lay of the land or to size out the imagery, or could you take us through a little bit more of the how-to into a deeper degree?
Well, I started out with a pencil drawing, and as you can tell, it's based off of his original coffin, which when I painted these, I had not seen it in person at the time. And this was just going off of pictures I found online. And it's an acrylic painting on top of just a regular skateboard. It's just a generic one I found.
The skateboard's generic?
Yes.
Okay. That I was going to ask what kind of a deck. No, I'm not a skater or a frequent show contributor. Chai Star G is our skate expert, so I ran the terminology past him. So it's a skateboard, it's a deck. It's so how many of them total?
There's only two.
Just the two.
Yes, and I was so tired of painting on the first one when I finished it. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm glad this is done. And then when I decided I'm going to paint one for Rich, I did it immediately after so I wouldn't forget how I did any of the technique. And I don't know if you've ever done any painting, but it is hard to recreate even your own work. I mean, you do it once, you think, okay, I'm done. And then you attempt to recreate it. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm sure there's all kind of random and variant stuff and around these parts. I don't know if Casual Crafter is tuned in right now, but he's our Mego and other figure customizer, and he came up with a custom Sven-mobile.
Yes.
Based on conversations we were having. But yeah, these hands are not the painting hands. I leave that to Casual Crafter.
These are jazz hands.
Exactly. That's it. Crafter, if you're watching live, feel free to jump in. But do you consider your hands jazz hands? A question I had never. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, let's look at the board a little bit more, and then clearly there's your choice of your Sven costumery is a discussion worthy. So we got plenty to speak of. So here's again this most recent C2E2 from this past April. So is this board on the table, and this picture taken from Terror Dave's blog? So Sven's signing. Is this the same board that you have behind you right now?
Correct. That's mine.
Yeah. And you made that clear to Sven. He's not getting a second one.
No, he's lucky he has one, let alone two.
That's real good. Real good. Okay. And is this right after it was signed or right before?
That's right before.
Okay. Yeah. And so again, this was Saturday. So yeah, and we'll again, we were in the same panel as hosted or as featuring Sven as hosted and moderated. That's the word.
Oh, I have a funny story about that panel too.
All right, we did say plenty of stuff. Good. We'll definitely get into that. So again, we're just more on the Sven signing. Okay, so tell us, for those who don't know, who is this standing next to you, and what is the connection?
That's Nanette. I'll be the first to tell you, Twitter is a raging dumpster fire, but I have met some of the best people there, and we have the mutual Svengoolie fan going on. And I started tweeting about Svengoolie when I returned 2 or 3 years back, and she was one of my first followers when I came back. And she is also known as the pop-up queen. She does the pop-up Kerwin that you see on Svengoolie's bookcase in the Dungeon Studio. And she's also done all sorts of artwork. And I do know one of her paintings is hanging near Sven's desk at the MeTV headquarters.
That's super cool. I do want to stick on the convention pictures. Let's go through 2 more convention pictures, and I see we have some comments, so we'll jump into comments. Again, they're with the traditional rubber chicken and the skateboard. It's peanut butter and chocolate. It's the two great tastes that go great together. You got some Sven, you got some rubber chicken, you got some skateboard, and then this one, yeah, again, you and then that as featured on Dave's blog. Okay, let's jump in. Let me pull that back out. Let me go over to comments and see what do we got here. I guess I'll go in order here. Han shot first, couldn't join in live, but dropped a comment. So let's take. Do you, Sarah, have a favorite memory or obscure thing that you know about the legend, Rich Coase?
Well, God bless him for putting up with me. I once asked him what was the strangest thing that anybody's ever sent him. And he said it was a chicken foot. And I said, what? And he said, yes. And a lady working with him at the time asked, did you touch it? And he said, no. And apparently there's some scary stuff going on with that. So I just had to ask him, if you don't mind, what's the weirdest thing? Because, you know, he receives everything from everybody. And that was it. And I think he recalled that story at a panel later on.
Yeah, and it's not for me to tell the Museum of Broadcast Communication how they should curate or do other temporary exhibits, but there's just such a volume, in addition to the skateboard, in addition to that giant knit blanket that Jay Spy and I and Dave saw at Volo. Like, they could absolutely, there is a wealth of material that could be incorporated into a Sven fan tribute exhibit at a museum.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's had everything under the sun sent to him. But like I said, he told me the chicken foot was the weirdest.
That's kind of priceless, kind of priceless and creepy.
Yes.
At the intersection of priceless and creepy.
And when he told me that, I was prepared for anything. And it's like, okay, nice. I'm glad you didn't touch it.
Right, not even with gloves.
Yeah.
As is tradition, as I was just referencing our skateboard expert, Chai Star G, you always saying, let's go toward the open of our shows. Chai Stars, and I agree. Maybe this is the bridge time to speak on the Sven costumery a bit. But here, as saying, awesome makeup and Drew.
I regret not having my Chicago flag in the background for this. I should have brought it out.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time we can change the backdrop and the set of it. I'm not familiar with Drew, but Drew's saying it's not makeup. Oh, wait, here comes Drew again. Okay. Okay. Chai Star that been grilling and been in and out. Okay. How did you start in art and why painting on a skateboard as a canvas?
Well, first off, if you're grilling, share some with us. I mean, come on, bring some hot dogs through the computer or something. And second, I've been drawing and painting all my life as far as I can remember. And my first digital painting that I remember was on an old IBM PS1 computer. I'm telling my age a little bit. And it was a picture of the Energizer Bunny of all things. And back in the day, I used to draw my own comics because, you know, growing up in Oklahoma, what are you going to do? And that's how I entertain myself. And I've painted everything. I'm a big fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. On their old website, I had a picture of Slash on there. And I won a signed copy of one of the old comics through that website. And that was a Photoshop painting I did later. And I've been a broadcaster for 20 plus years. And I've also done gig posters for all sorts of artists. No major artists, but lots of local, well-loved stuff from the Southern Oklahoma area.
Man, this is a wealth of story. This is top-notch stuff we're speaking on here. And again, I kind of wanted to go in order in the ideas I had in my head, but I also want to, you know, go with the comments and the questions as they're coming in. So I was going to come to the panel in a bit, but we'll come back to the cosplay and the costumery. But let's go. Do you have a funny panel story? And here's our partner channel, Fanboy, chiming in with that's awesome. Thanks. I know you got other stuff going on tonight, Fanboy G, but thanks. So let's pop back to Drew's question, the funny panel story.
The funny panel story. Well, at his latest panel at C2E2 back in April, I sat near the front, you know, hardcore Svengoolie fan. I love Superdog, by the way. And I'm wearing full-on Sarah Goolie, which it's not a costume, it's a lifestyle, by the way.
Yes,
and
yes, it is.
And one of the ladies, I guess she's security or whatever at McCormick Place, looks me square in the eye and said, "Wait a minute. You're supposed to be up here on stage. Get on stage."
Well-meaning, trying to execute the duties of her job while she's on the clock. That's how convincing you were.
Yes. And she said, "Why aren't you up here?" And I said, "Actually, you've been fooled by the wrong Goolie. I'm Sarah Goolie. You need Svengoolie."
That is spot on. I appreciate you. But now, actually, so this question didn't take us, given the content of your story, and we can come back and speak on the panel in a bit. So clearly, there are different eras, as we've noted before on the Fanboy Cantina channel and on this channel. There are different eras of Sven, and the outfit has changed a bit from time to time. The green is definitely going back to the earliest days of Rich Coe's. Oh, and the red T-shirt. Oh my gosh, we got some layered Sven imagery here. The chain is definitely an older piece. Okay, so of all the possible incarnations of a Sven outfit, how did you assemble the different pieces into your Sven cosplay?
Well, it's a long story, starting back in 1979. No, actually. When I set up this costume, remember, it's not a costume, it's a lifestyle. I thought about doing the modern era Sven, but I thought that shirt that he wears is kind of hard to find. And there's no way in heck I'm going to find the skeleton pin, because, that's one of the grail items.
Absolutely.
And I thought I can do a more accurate Son of Svengoolie based costume, because I had the chain, a scarf was easy enough to get. And before I acquired the famous, oh my gosh, the shirt, I would just put whatever red shirt underneath it, say whatever, good enough. And being a hardcore Svengoolie fan, some of my friends have gifted me with pieces that I've added since. I have the famous skeleton pin.
That is magnificent.
And a friend gave that to me for my birthday. And I go out to the mailbox and I open this package, and it's in a jewelry box. And I'm thinking, what do we have here? And my jaw dropped not only to the floor, but through the floor when I realized what it was. And the Son of Svengoolie shirt, which another grail item, I'm surprised I have it, was another gift from a friend. And of course, I've added pins also.
All right, little Chicago flag, little
Malort.
Oh, well, hey.
And part of the Sarah Goolie legend, I guess you would call it. My friends are crazy. And my famous line is, if it's on the internet, it must be true. I live in the Chicago River. True story. And to summon me, you throw in a bottle of Malort and I come up.
Well, I'm as I said, as the guest of the night says, that which is, then here we are in the internet. So that what is true is manifesting, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And I'm broadcasting live from the bottom of the Chicago River, if I haven't told you yet.
Right, in a sealed, airtight, excellent.
Somewhere between State and Dearborn, which is where Marina City is,
and relatively close to the broadcast communication, to be near the coffin and all the Sven artifacts. Comments continue to come in here. Let's see. I've yet to have my Lord. I might need some tonight. Oh, but you're at the your exact location, Pebble. Whatever they put on the menu, by the little Yoda statue there. Good. Enjoy. Earlier, Fanboy said that's a good friend that you have there. Okay, all right. So, haha, yeah, it would have been. Who knows what's in the future? We may have that. That may be in the future. Okay, here's another Drew. Ah, all right. See, confirmation that that which is internetable is definitely true. It's a beautiful thing.
It's true. Drew knows he was there.
Now, Drew, can we connect the dots? Well, let me see if I can jump out of comments and come back. So, does Drew also have a bit of an alias or a bit of an involvement here with things?
Drew is dressed as the Sven-ology guy / Harry Carey.
Yeah, so Drew, that is deep cuts, because it's been a while since Sven's gone national. Certain changes were necessary in the show, and best of my knowledge, one of those changes was not having as many comedy parody bits on commercials, and had to change the songs to that which were public domain and stuff. But Drew, that as we're talking in inner circle of super loyalty and super following along with Sven, to go for the Sven-ology character, that's just completely impressive. That's well done.
If you look closely at his shirt he's wearing, it actually says Sven-ology.
Oh, see, I should have expanded and blew up
yes.
to zoom in on the man.
And I helped him come up with that, but it's about 20% me, 80% him.
Well, hey, those are good numbers. All right, so I see another new comment has come in, so let me jump out of the pictures and go to I'm gonna figure Michaela is one of your people.
She loves Svengoolie, and she also watches Tune In With Me weekday mornings.
Oh, the Bill Leff.
Yes.
So as long as you're speaking of hey,
hey.
So yeah, most recent, well, not most, but relatively recently, Bill and Wendy were at the WGN radio station here, which was a reteaming of their classic from of their classic radio duo from the 90s, which was pretty sure was the Q101. But many a time in the summer when I was working my summer job at the Park District trimming the grass, I would have the Wendy and Bill show on. So it's great to see Bill Leff. Now, as Sven went nationwide, it's great to see Bill Leff go nationwide with the cartoon.
Yes, and I've never met Bill. It's one of my goals, but I have a ton of respect for him as a fellow broadcaster, knowing he has that long radio history. Save big money, Drew.
Drew, no kidding. I mean, had the day gone differently, I might have been at Menards earlier. I may be at Menards after, or that might be for sure. I'll be at Menards tomorrow, though, and I do hope to save big money.
And another funny story with Drew.
Oh, please.
He recently moved to the Chicagoland, and it's all my fault.
All right, go. Well, if that's something you can expand on, what's
the Reader's Digest, the short version is, if it's on the internet, it must be true. Chicago is my adoptive home, and I'm like him. I plan to make it up there eventually to stay all the time. But he and I had this thing. When we would leave, we would look back at the skyline and feel like we almost owe the place an apology. Like, I'm sorry, Chicago. I want to stay. I don't want to go. I'll come back as soon as I can. I promise.
Well, I'm sure that, the Hog Butcher of the World and the Windy City and all the other monikers that we have here, the personification of the city found a way to be good with your pledge.
Yes. And like I said, it is my adoptive home, and people can laugh at that all they want, but several people have told me that. So.
Well, the other piece of your so it's a traditional Svengoolie black hat, and then in addition to that, you seem to have another layer there. Is that something you can comment on a bit, and then maybe we can speak on the panel more and the C2E2 a little bit more?
Well, the tiara, yeah. Drew's the one that gave that to me.
Oh, well, Drew's a legend, and to be sure.
Yeah, he's a fan of the whole Sarah Goolie legend. Matter of fact, he's one of the ones that came up with the story of me living in the Chicago River, which is true.
Drew's got the storytelling chops. I gotta recognize that right here, right now. Wow. All right. So again, we crossed paths at C2E2. As you said, you were sitting near the front. John had a technical difficulty that he on his own channel, the word, and as long as you're here in YouTube land, and as I said at the panel when I had my question up at the mic, the Word Balloon channel with John Suntress has a great many comic book creators, as well as the Oh Yeah Comics, the local comic shop by Skokie. So John covers a lot of different pop culture material, as well as having been the panel moderator and host for Sven. It's unfortunate the audio tanked, but I guess I'm trying to say I encourage people to look at John's channel on Word Balloon. And so since the audio didn't manifest, hang on, I'll come up, fanboy, I'll get right there in a minute. What other highlights would you be able to speak on from that panel in which we were sitting in the same room at the same time?
Well, besides the hilarious story of the McCormick worker thinking I was the real deal, which my group, Drew, Nanette, and a couple other people, we about busted our guts laughing at that. Yeah. What he basically talked about is how he feels blessed to be doing this for so long, because when he first started out, he's thinking, hey, I'm doing a show. This is cool. And then 40 plus years later, he's national and it's just blown up. And he said he's an overnight sensation, but it took many, many, many years to get there.
I enjoyed. Oh, go ahead.
And he also talked about the upcoming Svengoolie comics, which I have on pre-order, as a fan should, from Frank Miller Presents. And I don't have any inside scoop on those, but from what I've seen, the cover art's fantastic.
Oh, I have yet to see the cover art, so I'm sure it is fantastic. And again, a few years ago when, is it Didio or Didio, but when Dan Didio was one of the top people at DC, and then, you know, that time passed and he moved on, so he's got a partnership now with Frank Miller. So it was Dan who is a Sven fan at the convention before, got in the line to meet Sven, and that's what generated the DC comic featuring Sven and the Justice League. So now that Dan's in a different spot in a different way, he's looking to and is in process of connecting with Sven. What I remember from the panel of what Sven was saying, that without being able to interact with the Joker and Batman and Green Lantern and Superman and Wonder Woman and such, that they were going to make a utilization of the sidekick characters.
Yes.
Including Berwyn. Tombstone, I suppose, would get some screen time. Buddy Sorrell, the embodiment, the talking face that's on the current newer coffin. I wasn't sure if the full list was given, but anyway, I look forward to, as a big fan of the sidekicks, of the mascots, I really do look forward to seeing the Frank Miller produced comic featuring Sven come to life and manifest.
Yes, they're all on one of the cover variants. Kerwin, Tombstone, and Body Sorrell. So whenever you get a chance, look those up. The art is fantastic. I can't wait to read those. So every time something appears in the Svengoolie store, they know I'm ordering, because within 10 minutes I already have one.
That's great.
Although these are available through your favorite comic shop and not the Svengoolie store. The comic books are.
Right. So that's interesting. Of course, it makes sense that comics would be available in a comic shop. But also interesting, as I recall, the comics, the DC produced comics weren't on the MeTV Sven store either. So that would be.
No, you had to be lucky enough to get a copy of that at an appearance or whatever. And yes, I do have a copy of it.
Oh, yeah. Mine is, I should have brought mine over. It's a little bit outside of the reach. But okay, so let's see. Fanboy's got a fabulous question for us that I had never contemplated. So within the Sarah Ghouli mythology verse, does the Chicago River head all the way to Berwyn?
Well, with all the branches, I can go wherever I want. The way it branches out and hits the Mississippi, I can go where I want.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh, here comes another. Here comes another. The sign. Yeah, well, all in good time, pal. I'm sure. I don't know what the release date is, but we know there'll be future Sven appearances, and there will be a release date. So for sure, we'll have to feature that right here, as we featured the DC comic back on the Fanboy Cantina channel roughly a year and a half ago when we did our first Rich Coe's birthday tribute. So absolutely, we'll look forward to getting our hands on the comics. Okay, Sarah, well, I'm just saying, you have some other T-shirt and other set decoration pieces behind you. Can you?
Well, I'm going to fire my set decorator and my writer. Oh, wait, that's all me. Caught you at a bad time.
No, you told me at exactly the right time.
That was my goal, to get you to. Anyway, I have a classic Svengoolie shirt here, famously signed twice. Signed by Sven a long time ago. Of course, it's faded. And then, of course, to Sarah, whoever that is. My copy of the skateboard, the first one I painted, the T-shirt that was only available in the 40th anniversary box. And would you believe Sarah Ghouli actually has some fan art? This was done by Nanette. We've already mentioned her. And this was the first piece she ever did of me. And she photoshopped the Malort bottle, and Malort.
Wow.
And something else she's done. The Sarah Ghouli meets Svengoolie Lego set.
Oh, no way. That is next level amazing. And that's a mini Malort along with the rubber chicken?
Yeah, of course. But Nanette did this, and she later did one this year of the Jerry G version of Svengoolie with Zelda, full-on skeleton of her. But this is from last year's C2E2 when we were filming Uncrypted. And the funny thing is, before she gave this to me, we took a picture, and it's almost identical to this, except I didn't have any Malort with me at the time.
None visible. None visible, that is to say.
Maybe some right here, but.
Oh my gosh. All right. So, yeah. So clearly, Nanette is her. Wow. I'm at a loss for words, but to say Nanette is an amazing Sven fan. But that brings us to Uncrypted, where Nanette was featured as were you. So you had 3 different segments within the Uncrypted documentary.
Yes.
Tell us what you can about your participation, or if there's NDAs. We're not trying to cross into, we're not trying to have people end up in the river in the rock. But whatever you're able to comment on for your contributions to the Uncrypted documentary.
Well, long story short, I told Jim, his producer, and Rich, guys, I'm coming up to Chicago for C2E2. I want y'all to know, because, unfortunately, in the real world, I don't live in the Chicago area. And I like to tell them whenever I'm coming up, heads up, I'd like to see you guys. And they contacted me and said, we're doing some filming. Would you like to be in it? And this was around the time of C2E2. And I said, of course, of course. So one thing led to another. Hey, that's a good song by The Fix. And I'm in it in 3 parts. First, right there as a civilian, that's me and my, I guess, human guys talking to him. He's asking for directions, and our instructions were to BS him, just give nonsense directions. So I did, and the original version was a little bit longer than that. My second appearance is at Flashback Weekend. And that's, I call Svengoolie Uncrypted my descent into madness, because I start off as a civilian. By the time we get to Flashback Weekend, I'm in half Sarah Ghouli makeup. That's when I say it's not a costume, it's a lifestyle, which is true. And then later on, when he arrives at Berwyn, the famous scene where I'm walking by him, he's walking by me, and we point at each other like, no way, that's not you. I'm seeing double here. And it's kind of a play on that Spider-Man meme where he's pointing at himself and saying, "You're not the real Spider-Man." You know, you've seen it online. It's from the cartoon series.
Oh yeah. Yeah. See, I was off the mark. I was figuring there's just a shade of Lucille Ball and Harpo Marx in the mirror with each other. There's a shade of that, but I was in the right territory, but not on the exact right spot. But that, again, the different things that weave together between comic related stuff and horror related stuff and sci-fi related stuff. It's just such a wealth of material, and it's great to continue to be able to hang out in that territory.
Oh yes, yes, and there's a little bit of that reference in there as well. That if you ever watch Uncrypted, that's one of the key moments, and it's available online someplace.
Right there. Yeah, I'm sure if somebody jumped around on YouTube a little bit, it may show up, somewhere in that regard. And I should say I was trying to be present for that Serenity Park in Berwyn.
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 Just be careful where you go. You'll end up in Cicero. Bye, bye, Berwyn.
Oh, see?
Deep cuts.
Detailed knowledge of the game. There it is.
Funny story about that song. Well, during the pandemic, Rich had to film at home. He couldn't get to the studio for the longest. And in solidarity with them, I would wear the Svengoolie costume T-shirt that Dave had on his segment to host my own program when I was on that side of the microphone in solidarity with him. And I think my peak moment of crazy during the pandemic is I put on the full Sarah Goolie. And it's on Twitter if you're brave enough to look for it. I sing the entire Bye Bye Berwyn. And I looked at the view count and I thought, you people you must be bored watching this so many times. But I was basically dared by some friends to do it. And I thought, what the hey? And I did.
That good stuff. See, the wealth of material. All right, a few more comments have come in. Fanboy G is recognizing the similarity between your moment in Uncrypted and in your third and final, your final form, if you will. You're all transformed along the path, dropping in an awesome. And it's good to be within the vastness of the verse. And just another shout out of Berwyn Way. So speaking of Berwyn and Serenity Park, I was there just at the tail end of it. I got, work was work that day. And so my plan to see the entirety of it didn't come to pass. And I was just kind of like, everybody was still like walking away and packing up and they were taking down the stuff. And I was like, oh, bummer. But again, so we were almost same place, same time, but not exactly. Are there other notable, can you tell me or tell any of us what was missed by not being there live for the full time of the giving of the key of Berwyn to the skeleton key, they called it, to Sven? What were some highlights from that day that I didn't see or that maybe other people didn't get to?
Well, by the time you arrived, I was back in the river.
I should have, just logic would have dictated, here's the question, here's the only logical answer to this question.
Well, Serenity Park was a fun time. We had arrived, probably 30, 45 minutes early. And I met Nanette there, which you've already seen on some of the pictures. And we were taking pictures with the stage that said Happy Svengoolie Day. And there was a guy at the apartments nearby. He kept yelling at us, I love your show. I've been watching since the 80s. And I looked over him like, and Nanette looked at me like, and they were like, Yeah, great job. Of course, by the time we were taking pictures and by the time we were finished, he'd already gone back inside and I didn't get to tell him he was fooled by the wrong Goolie.
I need to be taking notes here of all the well-turned phrases that are coming out of this. The internet is true, being in the river, fooling by Goolie. These are priceless. These are real good.
It's all true.
Completely true. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the Svenny truth.
So help me, Kerwin.
There it is.
But back to Svengoolie Day, we'd arrived early. We were taking pictures. We were hanging out. Of course, as we stay there, the crowd gets larger and larger. There he is.
Right,
and
as you were speaking of the time in the cave and such.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
And everything was filmed twice, except for the song, which I was hoping would make the final cut, but it didn't. He receives the key to the city. Brian Bernardoni introduces him, another good Svengoolie fan, another friend I've met through Twitter, the Svengoolie fandom, whatever. And he's given the key to the city, and they do Bye Bye Berwyn. And of course, I about pass out because I love that song. I love that song. Of course, I'm a little bit late to the game, but I have an appreciation for the deep cuts because you can't get to this point without an appreciation for some of Svengoolie's history. And that didn't make the final cut, but oh my gosh, if somebody has a video of it, I would love to see it. And then actually, after he received the key, they do the song Whatever. That's when we filmed the famous Spider-Man reference. Yeah. It was a good time.
Again, oh man. So given that I missed a good time, good that I'm able to vicariously or secondhand pick up on the stories of it now. And to play off of what you were just saying, right? There was, you said about being there. So what was your first time you saw Sven or Son of Sven show? Again, your history, your knowledge of the history is evident in your lifestyle attire. So I'm not even saying costume anymore. In your lifestyle attire choices, evidence is clear of historical Sven. But like, when was the first time you watched, or what are your early memories of, or what era did you first join in?
Well, I started watching, as I said, I'm late to the party, way late to the party. But I was at my parents' house in Oklahoma. Yeehaw! And we're channel surfing some night, and Svengoolie happens to be on. I guess that would make it a Saturday night. And the movie, I can't believe I can remember this, was Dr. Cyclops. Whoa. From the 1940s. And I've known of hosted movies all my life. I know and appreciate Elvira, Joe Bob, all of them. I respect their work. I'll watch them. But nothing ever gripped me quite like Svengoolie did. And the more we watch it, the more I think, my gosh, I love this show. He's showing the movie. He's dropping knowledge, like we like to say. He's doing funny bits. This is dang near perfect. So I would just watch it whenever I would go back home, not realizing he was national. And then I realized I could watch him anywhere, and that's what I've been doing. And I famously only missed a handful of episodes.
Right, because, the currents in the river during those select moments were a little bit tumultuous or some such like
yeah,
that.
It messes with the reception like you wouldn't believe. Even the internet connection down there is spotty. And then when those tourist boats go over, that messes with it too.
Oh boy. Dave Matthews, I don't know. Anyway.
Ah, yeah. He's still on my bad list for that. Not in Sarah Goulie's home. You take that elsewhere.
Yeah.
Nasty.
So the question Fanboy G and I had for Dave when Dave was on, and Dave, if you're here now and just not in the comments, or if you're watching a different time, again, thanks to Dave Fuentes for making this connection possible. And please do check out
The Good Dave.
Yes. Of those. it's black and white. It's an all or nothing. That's an easy one. Right.
We appreciate Dave Fuentes.
Matthews Band, Fuentes, key to the city on his own, or multiple keys to all the municipalities around the way. So a question, kind of a standard question. So I'm guessing your timeline, I'm speculating, came sometime after 1982, but let me then ask directly, were you a witness to the 3D Creature of the Black Lagoon attempt in the summer of 82 in any kind of a way?
No, but I've heard stories of people going to 7-Eleven and getting those famous glasses. And I've hosted some classic Svengoolie segments with friends, and we watched a 1982 episode that was promoting that. He was doing 3D TV Central, go get your glasses, and then it'd say 3D movie, and the creature's hand would come through, rah, rah, like that. So no, I wasn't an actual witness, but I have accounts. Very, very few. And he says people will still say, oh, the glasses didn't work, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, good gosh, that was 40 years ago. Drop it.
Yeah. And as a river traverser, as a river occupant, do you have any, or can you confirm or deny, or you're able to comment or not comment on any Creature of the Black Lagoon sightings within the Chicago River?
No, but the alligator snapping turtle that recently showed up, as people are calling it Chonkosaurus, that's actually my friend Timmy the battle tortoise.
Timmy the battle tortoise.
Yes, that's his real name. It's on the internet. It's true.
Is there any possibility that Timmy might show up in the soon-to-be produced or in current production Frank Miller related Sven comic? Is there maybe an outside chance that Timmy might be in the background in certain panels, or might Timmy have a prominent feature in maybe one of the issues?
Well, I don't know. Timmy signed an NDA when he gained notoriety, so.
Because with battle being that then Timmy got some battle experience and not going to subject himself to a negative environment or a rough situation as such.
Right.
Wow. Well, I just we don't. I'm figuring this is also a little bit of a South Park exclamation, but that's great. Let me take a moment here to say, Drew, your image there, that's only reflective of somebody who would be hanging out under the water, so that's real good stuff too. All right, so I guess let me just throw this out for upcoming stuff. You're definitely looking forward to, as am I, the publication of the comic, or the new Sven comic having full access, full availability. Are there other things that are on the horizon that you're tracking from your I can't say subterranean, but from your submerged environment? Are there other things that you're tracking and looking forward to for Sven appearances or Sven connection?
Oh, I would love to go to every Sven appearance I possibly can. I'm always looking forward to those and trying to figure out ways how I can come up out of the river and go see them. And as far as merchandise, I have the mask on pre-order, I believe, by Trick or Treat Studios. It's a full-on mask that has the face, the wig, and the hat. And the upcoming Svengoolie action figures, the Toonie Terror version of that.
Again, I'm right there. I continue to check for the updates on both of those. I learned of the Toonie Terror figure prior to learning of the mask, or I think the figure was in production prior to the mask. But those are definitely two key items. I have, again, just out of reach here, I have the Toonie Terror, Nosferatu, and Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Pennywise. So I super look forward to giving Sven's Toonie Terrace and Display Space once that comes out.
Oh, you have me beat. I just have the Elvira Toonie Terror, but I love her. Much respect to Elvira.
So, okay, let's look at that classic horror host icon. So Sven and Elvira have had some connection. I'm just, in general, what do you see as similar between Sven and Elvira, and what do you see as different between them?
Well, I see both of them as people who paved the way for some of the modern people that host their stuff online. Without them, we wouldn't have those, and they just keep the tradition alive. They keep the torch lit, as you would say. So much respect to them and their longevity, because, you have to be good at it or you're not doing it for 40 plus years.
Absolutely. Right. The market dictates things, the following of the audience. And as we kind of referenced earlier, because in Sven's history, when he was only local to Chicago and his original channel, the management changed, and then the newer management decided he wasn't really the guy, if you will, or he wasn't going to draw enough numbers. But I don't know because Rich Coase is as I see it, such a kind soul and such. I don't know if the terms "living well is the best revenge" would have ever come to him, but let's just say he played the long game and clearly now is well drawing a nationwide audience. So could have been the case that other people higher up on the chain in the past would have seen that, and he might have had many years being nationwide. But hey, everything came out real nice for him all the same.
Yeah, and spending 20 years in broadcasting myself, I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Just because new management comes in doesn't mean they know what they're doing. And they sometimes like to throw their weight around and get rid of people that really needed to stay because they're the true talent. They're bringing the numbers. So, I mean, I've seen it all. Oh my gosh, we could do a whole podcast on my radio stories.
Well, that may be good for the future. Again, I'm not trying to have anybody inserted into the river in any kind of a bad way with that. But as you have proven to be such a magnificent storyteller right here, without doubt, you'd have some great stories to offer on that. Also.
Yes, one station I worked for, the station vehicle was actually a refurbished prison van.
That's priceless. that in its own is really good. I guess we're almost at an hour here, but I definitely see there is a atypical color of a rubber chicken off in the background right there. Are you able to? Do you have? Oh, it's. I tell you what, I don't believe my son is watching live right now, but that is a clip out moment for him. That's a magnificent rubber.
It's a giant rubber chicken, one of the largest ones you can purchase. Now, Archie McPhee has the world's largest, but I'm trying right here.
Man, that is real good. Yeah.
And if I'd squeezed it, it would have been screaming from now till tonight.
All the way from the river, there would have been ripples.
All the way to Berwyn, at least.
To get a tsunami. Berwyn would experience its first tsunami in its history.
That's sorry, guys.
All right. Well, sir, is there anything else you want us to know or the viewers to know or any other comments, or we can start to wind down a little bit? Do you have any other last minute aces up your sleeve to offer or any exit points of humor or anything of that persuasion?
Well, if there's Svengoolie fans out there who haven't met him, the old saying is, don't meet your idols. That's not true with him. Rich Coase is genuine. He's down to earth. And I've told him numerous times, he's so kind. He inspires me to be a better broadcaster. I mean, he's one of the nicest people you will ever meet. The first time I met him, I was a little bit freaked out at first, but I thought, Sarah, you get down to it. He's kind of like you. He's a broadcaster. We're all doing the same thing, except, he's a heck of a lot more talented. He's nationwide and all that, but genuine, down to earth. he has every right to strut around and say, look, I'm Svengoolie, look what I've done. But no, he's very, very down to earth.
Right,
A prime example.
A truly humble human being. And
Humble.
I don't want to say his degree of humility is disproportionate to his degree of success, but I will say his degree of humility, given his success, is quite impressive.
Yes, very anchored, down to earth.
If we're doing underwater imagery, a truly anchored human being.
Yes.
Fanboy G has dropped us a couple more. We need to stop dying the river. And it's a two-part. Sarah has truly proven to be a treasure and a dynamite guest to have here. We don't want the die of the river to have any kind of. But good thing we're already on the green Sven gear, so if the river gets on.
Well, I have some inside information on that. It gives it a nice lemon lime flavor, so it really doesn't bother me.
The spontaneousness of it, the quick quips. This is real good stuff. Okay, if people watch live, I hope you had a good time seeing the Sven-ology, the study of Sven, the appreciation of Sven through the underwater lens of Sarah Ghouli. This has been really fun. Okay. Before we wrap, Fanboy G, former college radio host himself. Serious question: as a broadcast talent, what did Lynn Bramer? Oh
man, I love 93 XRT. I listen all the time. Thank goodness they do a stream so I can listen down here in the river. And when Lynn Bramer passed, that was one of the celebrity deaths that hit me really, really hard because I enjoyed his program. And it's great to be alive. Oh my gosh, how iconic. And then, when I heard he was sick, I was rooting for him because one of my program directors went through similar, and it wasn't a good outcome. And when he passed, that hit really hard. He was a great personality. And one of my regrets in life is never meeting Lynn Bramer. But I did go to the opening day broadcast with 93 XRT for the Cubbies home opener, and I met most of the air staff, and there's some great people, some very great people, a lot of mutual respect there too.
Well, then I'm sure, because as Chicago as a theme, that G was asking the question in its own right, but then Sarah, let me give my brief anecdote of the one time I did get to meet Lynn Bramer, again, without going into a full. So just being on the north side of the city and comings and goings, there was a Saturday morning when I was listening to Saturday Morning Flashback, the 93 XRT Saturday morning radio show.
Love that program. It was 1988 today, I believe, or 87.
Yeah, the very good years.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening, and I got out of the car to go in the store, and there was Lynn Bramer in that same store, and this has got to be 6 years ago, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And he was speaking, and it was a relatively smaller store, and then I'm looking at him and I'm hearing. So I had just heard his voice on the radio, and now which was a pre-recorded show.
Yeah,
and I'm live in the store with his unmistakable voice, and I mean I knew what he had looked like. I hadn't been in the same room with him previously, so and he it's a small store. There's so and
I have a store.
Yes, definitely. So I say to Lynn as I'm hearing him speak, because I'm looking at him, and I say, "Oh, sorry, I thought I was hearing voices, because hearing his voice from the radio to now hearing it." And then he would, similar to your quick-wittedness, he extends his hand to shake hands with me and says, "You were hearing voices, or you are hearing voices. Hi, I'm Lynn. Nice to meet you." And again, he didn't have to do that. He could have been, "Look, I'm not on the clock. It's Saturday. Just I'm gonna come and go to the register and leave this place. You go. You do you.
Yeah.
You be on your own accord." But it was a priceless moment a short but sweet moment that I had with Lynn Bramer in that way. So thanks Fanboy G for that question. Many thanks to Sarah for coming on the show here. This has been really, really fun. Sarah's take a look. You know, I don't have to give any commendation here. It speaks for itself. Sarah, this has been great. Again, thanks to Dave for putting this together. Thanks to Svengoolie, to Rich Coes for being who he is and what he is, for being the foundation block around which the community of Sven fans can participate. Any closing comments here? Do you want people to follow you on Twitter, or people to not follow you on Twitter? or just what would your parting comments be? And then we'll close out.
Well, if you want to follow the dumpster fire that is, it's at Dr. Rhodes. Doctor is spelled out, or Hodes. Hashtag Sarah Goolie.
Hashtag Sarah Goolie. And again, there's plenty of Sarah Goolie coverage on certain other YouTube channels, and definitely on Dave's Terror Dave blog. Okay.
I will add, there is one thing I do on Sundays called Sarah Ghouli Sunday, where I'll post a random picture of myself. You know, it's not a costume, it's a lifestyle. And that's my way of keeping the Svengoolie fun going from Saturday night into Sunday morning. Another way to keep all the fans, give them something else. The fans of Svengoolie, I'm just Sarah Ghouli. You know, you've been fooled by the wrong Ghoulie.
And again, it's not for me to contradict, but a variation on that could be you've been fooled by the right Ghoulie as well.
Depends. You know, the Sven universe is vast.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
The Spider-Verse has nothing on us.
True enough. Because you've again said it on the internet. Hence, it's more true than it was 1 minute and 1 hour and 2 minutes ago. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to Sarah, and that'll close us out, and we are out.